Hello, everyone, and welcome to 50 Now What? I'm your host, Alicia Sutton, and today we're going to be talking about mindfulness and embodiment as we move into the season of being 50 and those crossroads in our life. And I have with me today mindfulness and embodiment expert Alexa Silvaggio. Alexa is a wellness entrepreneur based in Los Angeles. She's a teacher, Tedx speaker, writer, podcast host, retreat leader, and the CEO of Rich Chocolate Rituals. Alexa just comes from a genuine space of kindness and gratitude and genuinely encourages you to cultivate a more loving relationship with your body and self through all she teaches. And I am super excited to have her with us today. Hello, Alexa.
Hi, thank you for having me. I just got chills. You're just so radiant.
Oh,
Thank
thank you. Well,
you.
I'm definitely getting from both sides. So what you give, I get. And I really believe that we're here to just, we got to make space to receive the gifts that we're given. And I consider you a gift with me here today. So I'm going to be here and we're going to receive you. And we'll start off with, what are women, especially you can see women in their 50s, and holding on to? What are we holding on to? Thoughts, habits, feelings, basically the baggage. just to be real, what baggage are you seeing us holding on to and carrying into what should be the most radiant time of our lives, into our 50s? And how do we let go of that baggage and really start living our life driven by purpose rather than pain and crisis?
Amen, amen. The first, as you were speaking, a few kind of like popcorn kernels came forward for me. I think one of the biggest things that we're living with that's keeping us from our purpose and keeping us in pain, keeping us in resistance, and keeping us out of flow is fear
Ah,
and worry. It is. I struggle with it myself, and
yes.
fear. There's many different acronyms for it: false evidence appearing real, fuck everything and run. That's
Mm,
what it stands for, right? it's
mm,
it's a means of keeping us stuck, and fear is such a normal experience. It's such a normal thing to feel, and frankly, like, our fear has served us very well. If we're
yes.
being chased by a tiger, fear is great. Like fight, flight, freeze, please
Yeah.
use it. Like, you will
Yeah.
survive that way. But
Yeah.
if you're
Fight or
just
flight.
trying to, like, send an email or like have a conversation, like, fear isn't super helpful, right?
Yeah.
It's keeping us from where we want to be. And so really getting present. Fear very rarely actually occurs in the present moment. Fear is usually about something that may or may not happen in the future, or it's about something
Right.
that already did happen and we're kind of reliving it, right? So we're
Right.
not present, hence the mindfulness piece. And worry is kind of the, like, redheaded stepchild of fear. And
Mm-hmm.
worry actually comes from the old English word wigrin, which means to strangle. So when
Oh,
we are
wow.
in worry, we are strangling what could
Oh,
be. We're
wow.
strangling the breath out of the moment. And the opposite of being strangled is breathing. And
Mm,
breathing has a beautiful way of knocking us conscious, right? Like,
yes.
the first thing you ever did upon entering the planet was breathe. It will be the last thing you ever do. It is a timekeeper saying now, 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 now. So when we find ourselves in fear and worry, we can return to the breath, and that will allow us to arrive now, which, again, the now very rarely actually involves fear or worry. So that's
That
a
is
big one.
so true. That is a big one. That is a big one. But you know what? It's almost like you've become conditioned because I think when you've been making your decisions and moving through the world, not through your purpose, but like you said, through fear, it's because everything is, you're anticipating the next crisis. And
Right.
so you're not
Right.
spending that time, like you said, being present. I love that. And you talk about that in your TED talk as well. And when we're talking about connection, I think a lot of times we externalize being connected with someone else, connected in,
Right.
the guy I want to meet or the girl I want to meet or
Yeah.
whomever, finding that connection. But what we often forget is the connection that we need to have with ourself. And you talk about that. And if you could go into that a little bit about how cultivating a better relationship with yourself, not just improved your life, but may have saved your life.
Yeah. The connection we have to ourselves, ironically, affects the connection that we have with everything and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The word relationship, we go, oh, we're talking about a romantic partner, but actually, we have a relationship to everything, right? Like, I have a relationship to this cup of coffee. I
Right.
have a relationship to my past. I have a relationship to my boyfriend. I have a relationship to my dog. I have a relationship to food. I have a relationship to everything.
Oh, I have a relationship with food.
Yeah, yeah. That's my
That's
mess.
another.
It turned it into my message. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
another show. That's
Yeah.
the next episode. Next
How long
episode.
do you have? Our insides and outsides always match. I always say the way we do anything is the way that we do everything. And so we want to look at the connection that we have to ourselves in every circumstance, in every way, shape, and form, because that equally and opposite reacts to the external, right? Like the
Right.
relationship that I have to myself and my body affects the relationship that I call in. The way that I feel about my body is probably the way that my partner is going to feel about my body. The way that I feel about work or values, I'm going to find people and places and circumstances that reflect that. So we're an energetic match. Have you ever talked to anyone or been this person? I certainly have, where it's like you keep finding the same type of partner over and over again. You're like, God, I thought I was done with these like unavailable people, or I thought I was done with these like manipulative assholes, or like whatever. And you keep finding them. And
Oh God, yes. You calling me out. You
yeah,
just called me out.
yeah,
Yes.
no, me too. Me too. I call myself out too. Because it's like I can be in a room of like 1,000 people and I'll find that one.
The big jerk. Yes, me.
Yes, like I'll
Yeah.
find it. And it's because it's an energetic match.
Yeah.
And so we have to look at our internal world and how that reflects to the external world. And our ability to connect to ourselves affects then how we react to that.
Yeah.
Right? Like we may have these patterns like, oh, I attract unavailable people. But the more connected we are to ourselves, the faster we can go, oh shit, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
There's a book by the Buddhist monk Pema Chodron, who I love, called Fail, Fail Again, Fail Better. And it's like, we don't just go from like here to there. We go from here to here to here to here to here to here to here.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right.
we don't just go from choosing unavailable people to choosing available people. We have a trajectory.
A
And that goes
trajectory.
for every relationship that we have.
It really is. And what you're speaking, and I hear it, I'm picking up on it, and that is what you're sending out, almost like your energy, your frequency, what you're sending, almost like an antenna. It's like what you are inside and what you are sending out, you're gonna pick up. You're bringing in, almost whether you know it or not, what you're asking for. And so when you have that connection, like you're talking about so deeply, that connection, you'll bring in what you really need or what you really should have or believe you have. It's almost like a self prophecy. You know what I mean? If you say it, that's kind of what you bring in. And so, and I want to make this distinction as well, and you can expand on it. And that is, I want to make the distinction between having a self connection, what we're talking about, and being self aware, which to me almost sounds like, you kind of, your characteristics. I hear people say, I know myself, I know I can be some type of a way, knowing your mood and your character and, whether or not you look good in green or whatever, is not the same as what we're talking about and what you're saying is connection.
Right. Yes. Having a loving or at least a present internal environment. And really, it's like what I do talk about in my TED Talk is the power of connection and how really a life of meaning is a connected life, right?
Yes.
It's about making the mundane meaningful. It's about staying connected through the exquisite and the excruciating of life. And how really like the opposite of, like we're talking about, we all have relationships, right? It's all kind of tying together. Like we all have a relationship to coffee or whatever. Like,
Yes, I do.
whatever. Yes, yes, exactly. And the question is, does this thing make me move further away from myself, or does this thing make me move toward myself more?
Right.
We can watch an episode of a TV show and it's really fun and entertaining, and I'm like, yes, I love this. Or I can binge watch 20 episodes and I'm avoiding the fact that I don't want to face something.
I know that one.
Yeah,
I'm
me
gonna say
too.
how, and you said it perfectly. Is how things can be a treat or a treatment for something we're trying to avoid. And I can tell you, I've been very fortunate but I mean, I love chocolate, I love cheese, and they both pair very well with something else I love called wine. And I mean, talk about sitting your rocking chair at the edge of a porch. It could flip over at any moment, but we can really, it
Yeah.
can really, you can set yourself up in so many different ways, trying to feed or trying to numb out what, and you talk about this perfectly, is what we probably need to be moving through.
Many of us don't have the courage or confidence to sit with what is.
Mm.
Like just learning to stay with whatever it is, right? We're like, I'm up and out. I'm out. I can check on my phone. I can go binge work. I
Yep.
can binge eat. I
Yep.
can grab a bottle of wine and I don't even have to feel that.
Don't have to feel it.
And I give the example in the a talk about, when my mother passed away. And
Mm.
it's like, you better believe for a solid month, I went into like, I call it power mode, which was like me over functioning like crazy. Like I was like
Oh.
doing so much, like working full time again. Like I didn't take any time off work. Like I just went into full over functioning mode. And after a month of that, I was like, if I don't take some time to actually properly grieve this, I never will. And then I'll wake up in 20 years and not remember my life. Like
Oh
I
my
need
God.
to move through this, and it's hard.
Yes. It is hard. And I remember that part when you spoke about your mother, and I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to, wanted to talk to you about that as well. And that was one of the things that resonated so deeply with me. And I lost my mother, was, it's been many years ago now, but you hit it right on the head. I spent so much time in the distraction of everything else, thinking that I was healing, that I was getting through this, or that I was, and some of us, and not just me, but I know a lot of times culturally, especially with women, you get the feeling that you got to get it done, get over it and move on, and people want to give you almost like it's a time frame, and a couple years had gone by, and I'm working, I'm on my grind, and I just melted.
Angel.
But we don't take that time to be in the present and to savor that. And you talk about that as well. And I want to, because we can go so deep into this.
I know.
I know we're like, girl, yeah. But
We're all
I,
over.
I want to talk about that, if you don't mind sharing it, that present moment that your mom had, that savoring that moment, if you mind talk about that.
It's so precious. And then, first of all, thank you for sharing that about your mom, and my condolences, because grief doesn't have a timeline.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't. Like,
Mm-mm.
especially around the holidays or whatever,
Oh yeah,
it's like, okay, that's still alive in me.
that's
That's
still
still
there.
alive. It's
It's
still
still
there.
there.
And that's
Mm.
so human. And so thank you. I talk a lot about the practice of savoring.
Mm.
And savoring is like the mindfulness tool that is kind of the essence of the brand that I created. Um, th- we can savor a conversation, or we can have a conversation while doing 54 things and folding the laundry, right? We
Yeah.
can savor a bite of chocolate, or we can eat it in the car going through traffic.
Mm.
We can savor a kiss, or we can like drunkenly make out at a bar. They're all the same things, right? Like you're doing the same things.
Yeah.
You're just doing them with different, like you're just doing them differently. You're
Right.
doing them with different intention.
Different intention.
Nothing makes us wake up to the preciousness of embodiment.
Mm.
Nothing wakes us up to the preciousness of being in a human body and being alive like death. And it's an example that is not only about physical death, it's also like the death of a relationship, right? Like before you break up, you're like, oh, one more hug, or one
Yeah.
more, like,
You know,
oh, one more time. Like I
you always
just
want the
need
last one. You want the last one.
the last one. Or like the last bite of something.
The
You're like,
last bite.
okay,
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
oh, it's good. Yeah, like
That was
we
good.
we savor it, right? We're like, this is the last of it. And the day before my mother died, it was the first year of COVID. So it was like full lockdown too.
Yeah.
So she was
Oh.
at home, which was a total beautiful gift. She was upstairs in her bedroom, and she really wanted to be outside. It was November 26th. She died on the 27th. So it was Thanksgiving, actually. It was Thanksgiving Day. She died the day after Thanksgiving. And she wanted to be outside because it was nice and crisp and it was beautiful and the birds were chirping. It was early in the morning, so no one else was awake, but I'm like a 5 a.m. wake up person. So I was there with her. And she had made the request, and she was having a hard time getting around at this point. She was still able to kind of like shuffle, but it was like stairs. It just didn't feel like a good idea until more people were awake. We could help her get down. It was a whole thing. So I said to her, Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't really feel comfortable doing that, but why don't we put you in a chair by the window, and I'll open up the window, and it was a big window. We'll open up the window. I'll get you coffee, and we'll put it in your best mug, and we'll turn on some, Miles Davis or whatever it was, and just sit and listen and be in the air up here. She kind of was bummed, I could tell, but we did it. Right. Yeah, I got her by the chair. I got her by the window in the chair, and she's sitting there. And I pour her coffee in her favorite china, and I could just see her slow everything down. And I could see her really experience the sensation of the wind against her face. And I could feel her full presence in that moment because there was a recognition that it was going to end. And there was a moment of reverence for being alive that was so palpable and sensational and exquisite and heartbreaking because that was it. And it was. She passed a few hours later. But I had never seen her like that. My mom was a fierce businesswoman and a powerhouse. And I just didn't never see her slow down long enough to actually experience much of anything. Death is the last curriculum that we get. And she passed. She passed.
That is such a beautiful, and I thank you for that. I know it takes a lot to go in, and I know you touch back into it, and I can tell you're an empath like me. You go back to it, and so I know how much that can weigh. But I really appreciate you sharing that because I know, in you saying that somebody's getting that, and that's why this was so important to me to have that, because you never know where somebody else is needing what you've grown through, what you've learned, and what your mom was saying at that moment is she's saying not just to you that you can tell, that she's now telling someone else, telling all of us that. And another thing, and I'm going to tap into some more of your gems because you have so many where I can just tap on them all day, and that is that you and I want to say it the way you said it. One of the things that you say, and we're talking about savoring and being present, and I love how you say some of us will never run out of money. We may never run out of food, but we all run out of time. There's an end to this. This is temporary. And if you're not in it, if you're not savoring the moments, what are you doing here?
You're missing it. You're missing the whole curriculum.
You're
And it's
missing
funny
the whole.
because, like, I often say, like, we all want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah.
And and
That's
it's
true,
like,
though.
well, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
over.
like, so the question is like, where does that apply in each moment? And it's like, the translation of that is like, we all want to feel good, but nobody wants to go through the shit to get there.
Don't want to go through it.
Yeah. So, like,
No.
but it's the only way to get there.
It's the only way.
It's the only way.
It's the only way. And and there's gonna be good and bad. And like I said, I've run into people. We get to. I mean, let's face it. For me, you get in your 50s, you've had ample time to rack up a lot of crap. You've had ample time to load up on needless baggage that does not serve you. I mean, you can still walk around here. I know people who've been mad about something that happened. It's been almost 30 years now. You still mad about that? You haven't let that go. You got this baggage. I mean, old baggage. The wheels are falling off. The strap is broke. You still kicking that anger down the street into the next relationship and not understanding why it's not working.
God, I hope my boyfriend's ex-wife is listening to this.
Listen to me, ex. Listen to me. I'm talking to you. It's the truth, though.
I know. There's a lot. And it's so funny because actually the irony is this holding on to the anger, resentment, and blame. I often say, and I don't remember who said it first, someone magnificent, and bless you, whoever you were, but holding on to resentment and anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
It's like it keeps you
That's right.
tethered, right? It's like
Keep you
it
tethered.
keeps you actually in it. And you're like,
Yeah.
wait, this is causing you pain, and all they're doing is being like, what is your problem?
What is your problem? What is your problem?
Yeah.
Get through it, move through it,
Move through it.
and
Move
get to
through
the
it.
other side. That's what we're here to do.
And that's not to say that we're not allowed to have our anger either.
Very true. Absolutely.
Like we
You are.
can't get to the, I often say, like, we can't get to the bless you until we go through the fuck you.
Yeah.
Like we need to go through the like, wow, that was horrible.
Yeah.
You messed up.
Yeah.
Express and then drop, right? Like it needs to live. It needs to be known, but then
That's
it
true.
also needs to equally be okay, and we release it to the light.
Release it to the light. Let it go.
Me. Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go. I love that.
Amen.
And amen. Let's move on with that one. I love that. And and like you say, and you said it perfectly as well. It's just like this for now.
This is my mantra.
It is the mantra, and I am taking it with me.
Do it, please.
I have loaded that into my mantra book, and I flipped through it and I added, and it's been one of those things. But if you can expand on the meaning, how did you even come to that? How did you get to the meaning of that, and how it's going to apply to especially women in my season?
Oh my God, yes. We've all heard this too shall pass, right? Which I think is beautiful. And I think it can be a little loaded,
Yeah.
with religious kind of
Exactly.
stuff, jargon and etc. So I don't even think it was necessarily inspired by that, but there was a story that Ram Dass told about a king. I'm going to probably butcher it. It was a king, and he said something to the effect of like, if someone can't make me do this, I'm going to kill everyone. And if all these people, I'm going to kill these people if you can't make me laugh. Or it was something stupid like that. And that was actually the phrase that they said, that this too shall pass. Oh, it was about like making him feel better. It was about like, if you can't make me feel better, then, and he told the story, and that was the phrase that they taught him, and that he was like, oh, you're right, this too shall pass. But then they didn't tell him about the opposite of this too shall pass, which is when it feels really good, this too shall pass, right? Like that.
Yes.
This too shall pass isn't just for the hard times. This too shall pass is also like when you're having an orgasm, right? Like enjoy it.
Pass, yeah.
Yes,
So
'cause,
quickly
like,
sometimes.
it's
So
gonna
quickly.
way
I'm
too
sorry.
fast.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, a whole other podcast.
Whole other.
But it's just like this for now. For me, resonated. I came up with it while teaching a yoga class. I used to be a yoga teacher. I don't teach asana anymore. But everything I teach is still yoga, right? In whatever facet it is, right? It's all this practice of, it's just like this for now.
Oh, wow.
And I came up with it while teaching a class because I was seeing people love these postures that were like a spinal twist. And they're like, oh, I just want to stay. And then I'm having them do like boat pose, which is like a core exercise. And they're like, oh, this, and they're like wanting
I don't
out.
want that one. I don't want that one.
I don't want that one. And it's like, well, that's the work. And you know what's amazing too is you see people with the opposite. You see people that are like, oh, I just want to get moving. Like, why are we holding this easy pose for such a long time? I want to work my ass off.
Yeah.
So it's opposite for certain people.
That's
So
true.
it's just like this for now. Came through in a yoga class.
Oh,
because
it's beautiful.
I was seeing these, you can read the energy of the people. They're like so annoyed. They're like so annoyed they're still in this pose. Or they're like, I don't ever want to leave. And it's like somewhere in between is the truth.
Somewhere
and
in
the truth
between.
is it's just like this for now. So if you hate it, be with it. because the only way out is through. It's just like this for now. If you love it, relish it, savor it, be fully embodied and present for it. But the problem is a lot of the time, myself included, something's really good, and then I go into my mind and I go, oh, well, the other shoe's going to drop.
Yes.
Oh,
That's it.
this is that, and then I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss the goodness
You missed the
because I'm
goodness.
thinking about when it's going to end. And the truth is it is going to end. So be in it because it's going to end.
Be in it.
Yeah. So it's just
Be
like this.
in it because it's going to end. Oh, man. See, I'm in that pose now, right now, talking to you. I don't want this to end. Well, how about this? It's just like this for now. I mean, it's like the perfect place to wrap, but I don't want to. It's just a perfect place to wrap. And yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Energy
And thank you for yours and your time. And like I said, I knew you were going to come in here and be the gift that I needed to receive today. And I feel gifted. Thank you so much. Your time.
I'm excited for more from you. I'm excited to hear all of it.
Thank you so much. And we'll keep breathing and we'll keep keeping that breath and we'll stay there. We'll keep savoring. Thank you so much, Alexa. Oh, baby. Thank you for listening to 50 Now What? Make sure to follow us, rate, and share the show. Make sure to follow me on Instagram for continuous updates at 50 Now What Podcast. That's 50 Now What Podcast. This podcast was produced by Rainbow Creative with producer Matthew Jones and producer and editor Sean Leviashvili. I love working with this team. To learn more about making a podcast for you or your business, visit them at rainbowcreative.co.